World War II, Normandy, 1944. He walked the wrong way on purpose. Look. My father chose who would live that night. And he didn't choose himself. He stood up from that ditch slowly, deliberately, and walked straight toward the men who were hunting us. Not running. Not panicking. Walking. Like a man who had already made his peace with what came next. I am 87 years old. I have forgotten many things, names, faces, the years that blur together in old age. But I have never forgotten the sound of my father's footsteps walking away from me in the dark. Not for a single night in 80 years. His name was Henry. He was a carpenter. His hands were rough and wide, always dark with sawdust, and when I was small he carried me on his shoulders so I could touch the tops of door frames as we passed through them. He was not a large man. He was not a soldier. He was afraid of spiders, and he once cried at the funeral of a dog that wasn't even ours. We lived outside Caen, in Normandy, a quiet village where the summer evenings lasted forever and everyone knew everyone. By the summer of 1944, that world was gone. The Germans had been retreating through our area for weeks, and my father knew what retreating soldiers looked like. He had seen it before, in the last war. He knew the particular anger of men who are losing, how it sits behind their eyes, how quickly it moves into their hands. One evening he came inside, looked at my mother, and said, "We leave tonight." He knew paths through the fields that soldiers didn't, along irrigation ditches, through the backs of orchards, across land he had walked his whole life. He carried my sister Elise against his chest. He held my hand. My mother followed just behind us. For a long time the only sounds were the grass against our legs and the distant artillery that my father said was moving away from us. Then he stopped. Ahead of us, where the field met the road, a torch beam was sweeping slowly back and forth across the ground. Voices in German, unhurried. A patrol. My father stood completely still for 1 second, then turned and scanned the dark to our left. There was a ditch running along the field's edge, deep, overgrown, swallowed in tall grass. He moved without a word. He set Elise down first, then me, then helped my mother down into the mud. He pressed us into the bank with his hands and pulled the grass over us, carefully, arranging it the way you arrange a blanket over a sleeping child. My sister was trembling against my arm. My mother pulled us both into her chest, pressed us into the earth like she was trying to bury us alive to keep us safe, and she did not make a sound. Not one. Then my father looked at me. I have spent 80 years trying to find the right words for that look. It wasn't afraid. It wasn't a goodbye, exactly, it was something deeper than goodbye, something that didn't need language. It was the look of a man who has already decided, completely and without doubt, what he is about to do. His rough hand touched my face once. Just once. Briefly. The way you touch something to remember its shape. Then he stood up out of the ditch. The moonlight caught him immediately. He was fully visible, a man standing alone in an open field, motionless for just a moment, long enough to be seen. The torch beam swung toward him. Voices. Sharp, sudden, the kind of German that doesn't ask questions. And then my father did the thing I have never been able to stop thinking about. He didn't run. He turned and walked. Away from the road, away from the patrol, and away from us. Slow enough to be followed. Steady enough to look purposeful. Drawing them after him the way a shepherd draws wolves deliberately, with complete understanding of what it costs. I heard the boots hit the road. 2 sets, then more, moving fast. I heard one of them laugh. A short, sharp sound like this was a game, like finding a man alone in a dark field at midnight was something that pleased them. That laugh has lived in me for 80 years. I hear it sometimes in the space between sleeping and waking. My father's footsteps were slower than theirs. Deliberate. Still moving away. Then my mother pulled my head against her chest and her heartbeat was the only thing left in the world, fast and hard and terrified but steady, always steady, and I pressed into her and I breathed when she breathed and I did not move. The grass was wet against my face. The mud was cold. Elise had stopped trembling and gone completely still, the way small animals go still when they understand that stillness is the only thing between them and what is coming. My father's footsteps got quieter. Quieter. And then they were gone. We lay in that ditch until the sky turned gray. When the birds started and the light came thin and cold through the grass above us, my mother lifted her head and listened for a long time before she allowed us to move. I looked back across the field when I climbed out. There was no one there. We reached safety the following morning. My mother answered questions in rooms with men who wrote things down. Elise ate a piece of chocolate a soldier gave her and stared at the wall. I sat on a bench outside and listened. I don't know what I was listening for. My mother searched for my father for months. Letters, offices, churches, anyone with a list of names. Some people told her to be patient. Most told her nothing. We never found him. Not his grave. Not a record. Not a single witness who saw a French carpenter walk deliberately toward a German patrol on a summer night in a Normandy field. He simply did not come back. My sister never spoke of that night. Not once, for the rest of her life. I think the ceiling was the only way she survived it. I did the opposite. I have spoken of it perhaps too much, to my children, to my grandchildren, to anyone who would sit still long enough to listen. I need you to understand something about my father. Not the heroism of it, that word has been handled too much, worn smooth, it doesn't hold what I mean. I need you to understand the simplicity of it. He did not debate it. He did not slowly make peace with it the way peace usually requires time. He looked at us in that ditch and something in him was simply finished deliberating. He just stood up. I have been a father myself. I have watched my children sleep. I have watched them cross roads without looking. I have felt, in those moments, something shift in my chest, something absolute and beyond argument, something that has no name in any language I know. In those moments, I understand my father completely. I understand that there was nothing to decide. That the decision had already been made years before, in 1,000 ordinary mornings, in every breakfast, every bedtime, every time he carried a small boy on his shoulders through a door frame so the boy could touch the top. That night in the field was not the moment he chose us. It was just the moment it showed. I still hear him sometimes. Not his voice. Just the sound of his footsteps, slow and steady, moving away across the dark field, getting quieter and quieter as the distance takes them. I have spent 80 years listening to him walk away.